This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where techniques mind, we ponder, we dream.
Well, it's great to finally meet you because this is how we meet each other nowadays over Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Thanks, Chris, for having me on your podcast. Really appreciate the time. My name is Loreta Today, and I am the founder of Loreta Today. I'm also the head of corporate marketing at Phison, which is a semiconductor data storage manufacturer company.
Nice.
And what I do, I help B2B companies and their investors architect clarity inside the organization. So I help cleaning up the house when it comes to marketing and communication by solving or aligning, I should say, the three Ps: people, process, and presence. So I can be viewed as a combination of chief of staff and the CMO. My background is in marketing and communications. When I lived in Lithuania, I was a news anchor, news reporter, and then I converted those skills into corporate storytelling through video, and later on to broader communication and marketing function.
Nice. Were you famous? Like, did millions of people watch your show?
Well, Lithuania has only 3 million people.
So the
So
entire
maybe
country
at
was
least a
probably
million
watching you at one
watched.
point, right? The entire country was watching you at one point, right?
Yeah.
That's
You know,
fantastic.
yeah, thank you.
So is there a reason why you got out of it? Is it because I mean
No,
that would have been my dream job if you asked me.
Uh, yes, it was a dream job, and I had to convert my, skills into something else, rediscover myself, which was a journey on its own, and I actually enjoyed it.
Mm.
Because when I came here, I didn't quite know how to apply my TV journalism skills. I knew nobody's gonna accept me as a news anchor here in the United States, to start all of a sudden be on nightly news. That's
Why
not
not?
gonna
I mean, you
happen.
look like you could be an anchor on the nightly
Oh,
news here. I can see that. I can see
thank
it
you.
completely.
Thank you. But after watching when I moved here, I started watching a lot of TV just to understand the culture of television here. Even though there were streams of news back in Lithuania, I would watch CNN and BBC and all these other MSN, NBCs and all these other international news channels. When you're here embedded more, you just look at things differently. And
Mm.
especially, watching local segments gave me a different perspective and how it
Mm.
intersects with national segments. That was something, that I observed. And I very quickly realized there's no way for me to get into television because there's a lot of how hosts, run the shows here. There's a lot of history, right? There's a lot of knowledge of the American culture, American politics, American economy that I was just not part of.
Oh yeah,
I
you got
didn't
to be
grow up
really got
with
to be an
that.
insider. It's an insider game for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And all of them have producers saying things into their ears. It's not like they know everything. It's
Yeah.
just how it works. But it just felt like there's a distance, there's a gap, and I would not be able to fill that gap. So I didn't
But
pursue that
nowadays,
route.
nowadays you can launch your own channel. You could be Loretta
Exactly.
today,
That's coming.
just like
That's coming actually.
nice. That's great. I will
Yeah.
subscribe to that as soon as it's
Oh,
out.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris.
You switched to go into corporate Marcom because that's where you thought your skills
So
were best fit.
No, it was more of a stumble. When I started my company, that's how things happen, right?
Yeah.
You
But you
kind of start
pivoted, right?
thinking, observing things, yes, and then you stumble upon an opportunity. So when I founded my Loretta TV company, which was a video producing company, um, I started working with corporations, and inside corporations, I started hearing, these marketing leaders say, "Well, our video team was not available," or, "You're helping our video team," and I'm like, oh, there's inside video teams. How do I get in?
Mm.
So, I started figuring it out, not intentionally, but more like keeping in the back of my mind. And as we know how universe works, sometimes what you have in the back of your mind materializes in its own way.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. It's one of those things when I was on the call with my mom on Skype call. Back then, Skype was popular.
Hmm.
Um, And she said, "So, Loretta, so have you thought about anything else?" And I said, "No, I kind of like my way of operating. The kids were still little and I had my own schedule. I didn't imagine me going, full time somewhere." But then I hung up the phone or the virtual call, Skype call, and then I'm like, you know what? Let me just go on LinkedIn and see what's going on. Maybe there's
Hmm.
something. Who knows? And boom, there was a post, a job post that the company Sandisk at that time was looking for a corporate video producer. Everything in that job post was
Perfectly
click,
lined
click,
up.
click. They even wanted somebody with a journalism background. I mean, how much more, that
Wow.
could be aligned?
Fate.
Yes,
Fate
it
was
was
coming in.
fate. So that's how I ended up in corporate, and I stayed in corporate for about 7 years before pulling out and reshaping my own story outside of the video storytelling. Video is still a big part of my life, and I'm a huge believer that this is the medium that humanizes companies.
Mm.
But I expanded broader into marketing communications function because everything is a foundation of communication anyway. When you
Yeah.
when you think about marketing communications, you communicate your stories, you tell your stories, and marketing is just a vehicle to get those stories out. So to me, how people operate inside and how information is translated from one cross-functional team to another cross-functional team is all about communication as a foundation. So once that's clear, once the processes are aligned with that as the core, then everything else is just sprouts from there.
Right. Well, what was the biggest surprise you found when you finally got into corporate America, quote unquote?
Mm. You know, it was a funny one because when I started my company as Loreta TV, I was doing everything by myself.
Hmm.
I'm like I learned the ropes, everything from start to finish in the production. Even though I was a family documenter by nature, I didn't know the technical aspects of cameras and lights and all of that stuff. So I had to learn all of it. So I was doing a
Yeah.
lot of things
Well, as an entrepreneur,
as
you do everything. You do
yes.
everything. Yeah.
And then, when it comes to pricing, for your services, I was not quite clear how should I price my services. So I would
Mm.
go very low. To me, it was seemingly big money, but I would be like getting $3,000 or $1,000, thinking this is a lot of money. When the companies would say, okay, we don't have a lot of budget, and I come with a proposal at $1,000, and they sign up right away. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this is what it means.
Yeah.
And then when I go into corporate and they say we don't have a lot of budget, 10,000 is the range. I'm like, oh, okay. So when they
Big
say
surprise.
when they say I don't have a lot of budget, it starts at 10 versus 1,000.
So you had
So
to you
that
had to
was
readjust your range up.
yeah. So that was a lot of learning, in corporate mindset, how budgets are being spent, how they're being planned for, how you have to look out several months out in terms of your spending and make sure by the end of the year you also utilize all of that budget or it's gone.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that operational aspect was very interesting to me. Yeah.
So you did this for a while, and then are you still doing that now, or have you moved on to something else?
Meaning video or
Like
meaning
video
what?
production for internal corporate clients.
So video production is part of what I do in general. So if somebody
Hmm.
comes and says, "Hey, Loretta, we want you to produce direct a video," okay, I'm available to do that because video is part of the storytelling piece for me, and I'm always passionate. I always vouch for video as part of the marketing collateral, I guess. However, the broader range that I do right now, I'm more of a strategic advisor to the C-suite, where I come in as a chief of staff and CMO, kind of the dual role to help them clean up the house. Like I said,
Hmm.
I look at the corporate marketing function and cross-functional team operations holistically. So I see bird's eye view, and I help leaders understand where they don't see the gaps because I see deeper into the organization, how people operate, how they communicate. Are they even the right people in the right roles? And then I help hire, the right people into the right roles because a lot of marketing communication function roles I've done myself, and I know how they work. So
Right.
I know how to hire people for specific functions inside the organization. So I not only, advise how to build a team or how to structure the department, I guess, but I also help and implement that structure. So
Hmm.
I don't just give the plan, I also help fix the problems inside the organization so that they're operationally well and the presence is there, and then I move on to the next one.
And you found other big problems, right? It's always from the outside, everything looks great, but once you get inside the organization, everything just seems like a disaster, right?
You
Isn't that
know,
what?
it fascinates me all the
Yeah.
time. Why can't companies get it together? It
Yeah.
seems, they hire all these consultants, the bigger ones, they always have advisors, they always have all these people come in and tell them what to do, but still somehow it's not there. And I think the problem, not the problem, but the reason why that happens is, especially with large organizations, is they're just used to operating a certain way.
Mm.
So no matter how much advice or fixes are happening, if culturally or top down that's not communicated as a priority, it's just gonna stay within a little department's,
Yeah.
wish to get better, right? And then with scaling and companies in transition, acquisition or pre-IPO, they're just moving at a pace where they just have no time to think about anything else. They just moving forward, so
Yeah.
they need somebody who could own that piece of responsibilities and drive that connectivity, that structure around, building out the right processes, the right teams, and then elevating that presence. So it's kind of always fascinates me how sometimes companies are just very disorganized.
Yeah. Well, I find that unless you have somebody in the organization who's really driving whatever you're trying to do, then it's not going to happen. Especially if it's got to be somebody, you have to have an executive sponsor. You have to have somebody really high up there who really
Agreed.
wants to drive change. Because if they're not high up there enough to drive change, then the change it doesn't
It
happen.
doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And sometimes you have to constantly remind the leadership team, why that change is needed because it
Mm.
takes they're again, they're worried about developing the product, stakeholders, investors, growing the market, all of the business aspect of it. They don't necessarily think about internal dysfunctions and
Right.
they don't know what gaps they're not aware of. So you have to constantly remind them of the why you have to fix these things, why it's important, why it's important to communicate and be available to your teams because it doesn't come naturally to them.
Yeah.
And I'm that person who kind of like nudges and tells them, you got to do this or you got to do that.
So would you say that, I mean, they're always bringing new technologies in, right? We got
Hmm.
new communications technologies. We have Slack, we have Teams, we have
Oh,
all of these
yeah.
technologies, and none of them seem to make any difference. None of them seem to improve things,
It
right?
doesn't because it becomes an overwhelm. It becomes
Mm.
too much to deal with everything, right? You have to be at every single touch point, but nothing is centralized. It's really difficult to streamline the communication across the board. And I'm actually
Mm.
dealing with this right now with one of the companies that I do work for where we have this chat, we have project management tool, we have changed the process of which chat platform we're using, but not everybody is adopting because it's not fully enforced, and that platform is not fully functional how people are used to working. So it still continues being disjointed, and it's an overwhelm. Like we all know that whenever you introduce something new, you have to develop a habit to
Mm.
actually adopt that something new,
Yep.
personal life or professional life, or in a corporation as well, right? You can't just expect people to just switch right away. You have to have communication strategy, you have to have the right means of communicating the information and reminding people, right? And a lot of companies just don't prioritize the communication. They just think it's an afterthought, it's like a soft skill. No, it's actually the
Exactly.
backbone. You really have to drill into
Yeah.
people's minds until it becomes okay, we've heard it enough, we might as well move it to this process you
Yeah.
know
Well,
yeah.
I've heard things like when you talk about habits, like the habits are in our dinosaur brain, and the habit
Hmm.
is always there, and unless you overwrite the
Chip,
habit
chip,
over and
chip.
over and over and over, going over and over again.
Yeah.
Eventually, after months and months and months of doing the same thing over and over again, maybe it'll be slightly overwritten. It's still back there, but you have
Hmm.
to sort of cover it with a new coat of paint, which is the new habit.
Yeah, but it also translates into the culture of the company, right? If the
Mm.
company was operating in old habits and then all of a sudden they're trying to operate in a new way, but it's rooted in the culture this other way, you now have to think about changing the culture inside the organization, and again, training the leaders, the executives to communicate that, to lead by example, not only have, fancy words on PowerPoint in a town hall, you actually have to do what you're saying that it's
Yeah.
written on the paper, right?
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of initiatives kind of dry up because
Yeah,
somebody comes in with all these new ideas and they say, "Oh, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and this," and then they come up against, slap up against the system. Then eventually they just give up and they go, or
yeah,
they just sort of like just go with the flow, right?
yeah.
I mean, how do you push these things through? I mean,
You
how do you get
know,
them to work?
I'm very persistent to the annoyance.
Yeah, that's you got to be annoying.
Yes. But in all seriousness, I when I take on a project, if I believe that this is not going to be fixable, I don't take it on.
Mm,
If I see that it's fixable, I will.
mm.
Because I don't want to overpromise something I can't deliver that's rooted so deeply that I'm just going to be spinning wheels. It's going to exhaust me. It's going to exhaust everybody I'm trying to help. And everybody is going to part their ways thinking, well, she's useless. You know,
But you
that
still
didn't
get
help with
paid.
anything.
No.
Yeah. That's the only benefit. But then I will feel bad that I didn't fix the problems that I got paid for
That's
not fixing the problems.
yeah.
I'm the fixer mind. If I see the problem, I go immediately into I need to fix, I need to find a solution. I start solutionizing, a situation. And because I see gaps so obviously like others don't, I know exactly what needs to be done. It's a matter of getting the buy-in of the leadership team and educating them why this needs to be done. And also I'm very analytics and results oriented. So if I say I will do something, I will make sure that we measure that traction, we measure that success somehow, either through my own performance or through the team that I will be training and coaching how to set their own goals, how to be efficient, how to make sure that whatever the if they want to get a bonus, well, this is what you have to deliver at the end of the year, if you want to get a
Right.
bonus. So
Yeah.
I have the whole system in place where I not only just give the plan and tell you what the problems are, I actually work alongside the team and the C-suite to oversee and make sure that whatever we agreed upon actually gets implemented and the team gets trained how to operate, in the new way.
Yeah.
Um,
It sounds like you're bringing in the discipline that they don't have. They're like a bunch of kids that have had bad parenting, and then you have to come in and discipline
you
them.
know, sometimes there's still kids there that don't want to listen.
It's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, yeah. So you have the good children and the bad children, and you have to somehow
That's right.
combine the two of them and have them working
Now you
together.
guys play together properly.
Yeah, yeah. But that's where, I aligned with people who do personality coaching, right? I'm
Mm.
not the one, but when I see that there's continuous conflict, there's continuous, how to say, friction between people, that
Sorry, I think we lost our connection there for a second.
oh,
Are you
oh,
here? Are you there?
okay, yes, I'm here. Okay, I'm back
Sorry,
on.
you were
I don't know
talking
how
about
much you
friction.
heard. Oh, yes,
You
okay.
you were talking about friction, and then
Take
it
two.
went go go for
Okay,
it.
take two. So when it comes to friction or people not working well together, that's where I bring additional support, right? People, coaches or workshops where people are trained on how to work with different personalities,
Mm.
understand themselves better while understanding others. And it doesn't go to the layer only of the employees. Leaders sometimes also need to get a lot of that training because then they get more understanding themselves of how to communicate with the teams and how to manage the teams.
Yeah, but they're all fine because they're leaders. They don't need to be trained at all, right? They're fine.
So they think.
Those are the ones that need the most training, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So how long have you been involved in video production now?
Oh my God, I've been doing video storytelling probably for about 20 years now.
Wow. So you must have seen a lot of changes from 20 years ago to today. Like,
Oh,
what's the big
yes.
differences? What are the big differences?
Okay. The big difference is when I started my video producing business, my goal was to humanize companies, to show the people behind.
Hmm.
And it was a struggle. Nobody wanted to be on
Nobody wanted
video.
to go in
No
front of the
one to be on
camera.
video. Yes. Now it's
Here,
shifting,
show our
especially.
computers, show our desks, show our office building.
Yeah, they didn't want to talk, much. The leaders will always be hiding behind the walls, right? The only
Yeah,
sort of way of showing or humanizing the company would be, through different ad campaigns,
yeah.
to have something more funny. But there was no culture of showing the culture of the company.
Hmm.
Um, and this has changed slightly with the younger generation founders who understand the value of being more present externally, understand the value of using different types of mediums when it comes to connecting to the employees and their audiences externally. Older generation companies, the leaders are still struggling with that.
Mm.
They're still not as prominently using this type of medium. But the biggest, I guess, my personal disappointment is that if you go to any company's website, video is not still there.
Mm.
The video has definitely grown in TikToks and Instagrams. On LinkedIn also has an opportunity. It's growing right now to do more video based presence on LinkedIn. But when it comes to corporate storytelling, there's still very little video content on their website, on the corporate websites,
Hmm.
talking about the company, introducing the leaders through video, which is very strange in this
Yeah.
world when we're
Is it
moving to
because the
AI.
leaders, is it because the leaders aren't really very photogenic or
Mm.
speak good speakers or whatever? Because I know I've come
Um,
across a lot of people who are like that, who are like, they're not, they can't present well. I mean, they might have a great vision, but they're terrible presenters.
yes. Video definitely requires a certain way of communicating and adopting that medium. I
Mm.
do on-camera presence coaching to leaders. Some of them just never go past the fear or getting out of their heads. They're
Wow.
like,
It's just even in front of a camera as opposed to in front of people.
yeah.
Wow.
For
Wow.
some people, being on stage is easier than being on camera. They're not afraid of stage and masses of people, but the
Seriously?
moment you put them, yeah,
I'm
but
the
the moment,
opposite.
oh, see,
I'm on
yeah,
camera fine, but as soon as I get on stage, it's like, actually, I have this weird thing where I freak out for about a few seconds just as I'm
Mhm.
about to speak, and then as soon as I start speaking, everything just goes away, and like no
Oh,
anxiety at
wow.
all. But it was
That's
so
interesting.
weird because the buildup is insane. And I think I'm gonna like pass out, and then
Oh
all of a sudden, I'm
no.
fine.
Wow, wow. So
It's weird.
yeah, stage is not my thing either.
Mm,
Camera is, so I use a lot of video content in my content. But I'm going to be pushing myself into the stage because I coach people on stage and on camera presence.
hmm.
So the presence part is not what's bothering me about the stage, me personally. Uh, it's more about, I guess, the fear of having seen other presenters present on stage and people just slowly started leaving, the presentation. That's my biggest fear. What
That's
if,
your negative
what if my
feedback, right?
what if my content sucks and nobody can
Yeah.
resonate with it, right?
Well,
So
my
so
biggest fear is forgetting something crucial, right? So I have a
uh
deck, I have a presentation, I have these points I have to get through, and then I miss like the main point of what I'm trying to say
yeah,
because I'm just trying to get through it. I'm like,
yeah,
that's the thing that freaks me out. Not, if
yeah.
people are leaving, that's fine. Less people for me to flub up in front of.
That's funny. We all have these little thoughts in our heads, these thoughts that nag us about something just based on what we've seen or what we've experienced. But
Exactly.
one thing, for you to know, nobody knows what you've missed but you,
Mm,
you know, when you think about it. Nobody knows what words you put on paper or on PowerPoint when you were thinking
exactly.
about this presentation. So even if you miss it, nobody will know what you missed.
Yeah. And the other
Yeah.
thing is that somebody told me this once, like, do you remember going to conferences and seeing speakers on stage, right? And then
Hmm.
afterwards, how memorable was
Mm.
that performance,
Hmm.
right? And nine times out of 10, it wasn't very memorable at all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the person who's on stage going, "Oh my God, I can't believe that I did such a terrible job," and everybody remembers how awful I was. People
Yeah.
don't.
Nobody.
Unless
Nobody.
you really, really screw up very, very badly,
Yeah.
or you like sweep everybody off their feet, people will just forget if you're in
Yeah.
the middle somewhere. And
Yeah.
most of us are there.
Yeah, most of us are there, exactly. So I wanted to also chime in on that, that you have to really be very, very good to be remembered. Not
Yes.
everybody is naturally a good storyteller or charismatic on stage,
Yeah,
engaging and how they talk, because
exactly.
it's all personality as well.
Hmm.
It's not everybody is born to speak or be on camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year
Okay.
2035.
Okay.
Where will we be in 10 years? I mean, are we basically going to be AI avatars talking to each other?
You
You're
know,
probably seeing some of your organizations ask about why don't we just do AI videos instead of putting up the
100%.
CEO who's not very good?
100%.
Oh, wow.
100%.
Oh my God.
It's coming, and we know the tools exist for this to happen. I'm a
Sure.
huge believer in humanization of the company and humanness of the company. So I personally discourage that, to
Mm.
go into avatar mode and start talking as a robot. As a matter of fact, there was one tool that we were evaluating, and they were bragging about, oh, we're the best, we're better than this, our competitor, because we have all this advanced situation. I said, show me your avatar, how it operates. The moment I saw out of sync situation, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. This is
Hmm.
really not building trust. It's actually losing trust,
Oh yeah.
because
If you can suss out that something is an AI avatar, then your trust immediately disappears.
yeah, yeah.
Immediately. Yeah.
It's like you couldn't just put a human to talk to us. You just had to put something else. It feels almost like lazy, not lazy. I can't don't like the word laziness, but almost like lack of effort, I guess, to connect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I believe in
Plus,
humanness. I
if you think
think,
about it, what are you hiding? Like,
yeah, there's
why are
well,
you putting a mask? Yeah.
it's more, I think, efficiencies and saving costs aspect than
No, but from the
hiding.
outside, you're like, why are you giving me this
Um,
avatar instead of, the authentic CEO of the company? So
yeah.
what are you trying to hide?
And this CEO in an avatar mode can speak multiple languages when in reality they don't.
I'm just gonna immediately switch to Lithuanian or something like that, right?
Exactly. That was my sort of repellent when I started seeing ads of this one influencer online. He's using Hagen, I believe, as a platform to produce content in different languages. And I'm thinking, well, if I am somewhere in Portugal and I hear you speak Portuguese, I expect to meet you and actually do the workshop in Portuguese, because that's what you
Exactly.
sold me on.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
if you can't do that, if I have to listen to English because you can't speak Portuguese, well, why are you doing this to me? The trust
Yeah.
immediately goes down, right?
Yeah.
Unless you obviously disclose, this is AI generated. I don't actually speak Portuguese. Don't
Yeah.
believe that I speak Portuguese, and then it's clear. But those boundaries are not set yet.
Yeah.
On the ethics of use of AI.
Well, and I find that a lot of people are not saying anything anymore. They're just using
Yeah,
it and representing it as themselves because
yeah,
they know what's going to happen. If I say this was generated by AI or with AI or AI helped me, people are going to immediately just say it's not, it has no value,
yeah. And
right?
that's where I think if leaders are still debating about adopting video as a medium of communication and connectivity, they should really start thinking about doing it now, because
Yeah.
AI is going to overtake. And the only way you will be able to stand out is if you're real and
Yeah.
relatable and
Yeah.
human, in the AI age.
Well,
And
that's
that's going
good
to be
then.
very, very difficult.
That's good then because everybody else will be AI and you'll be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, exactly. And people will want to do business with you because you're the real person. We don't, obviously, we know that it's all coming, all this agentic future, robots talking to robots, AI talking to AI,
Yeah.
sales happening on AI level before it comes to the real person in sales department. It's more, from my perspective, about efficiencies in getting there quicker and getting in front of the customer quicker. But in the end, I think the human is what's going to make the sale.
Yeah.
You're
Absolutely.
doing business with humans. We're not doing business with robots.
So do you think you'll still be doing what you're doing in 10 years, or will it be all eliminated by AI?
I think a lot of what I do right now through my process can be automated, and I'm looking
Mm,
into some of this research that could be automated, so I don't spend my human hours in some of the analysis, where I
right.
can automate some of the things. But I want to apply my human analysis to this automated version to make sure that, okay, whatever they analyze is actually accurate. And to me, again, communication is the core. So I understand the business and I understand the goals by talking to people, and I uncover the problems by talking to people.
Mm,
AI can't talk to people, it's just would analyze what you give it, right? or you can drive the conversations AI with AI, but you can't, let's say, have an AI interview, an engineer and assess what problems exist. Or maybe you can. Maybe that's going to be the future. Who knows?
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah.
It'll be here before you know it. I was having an interview with somebody else the other day, and he goes, "Oh, we already have AGI. They just haven't released it yet." And I'm like, "Holy
Oh,
crap!"
wow. Yeah. Or all those humanoid robots coming in. That's actually pretty fun,
Yeah,
to
I just want one to empty my dishwasher. I mean, that's basically the thing.
I want somebody to really do a good cleaning job in the house because none
Yes.
none of the cleaning ladies that I've ever had have adhered to my standards.
Yeah.
So I end up
And
cleaning myself.
Those Roombas, they do not do the
No,
trick.
surface level, just surface level Roomba.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Well, this has been
yeah.
great. Thank you so much. So, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Go to your website?
Yes, Loreta.today, Loreta spelled with one T. I still have my presence downloadable there. That's free. I will be pulling it down in about a couple of months as I'm restructuring my website. And on LinkedIn, if anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, they can do that. You can mention this podcast, and I will accept the invitation. If there's any problems that you feel you have in terms of people, process, and presence, we can have a conversation of that as well.
Very good. Thank you so much. It's great talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you
Have a
so
good
much,
one.
Chris.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.